Greetings, Fremont family. My name is Pete Montgomery, and I'm one of the elders at church. And I'm here today as we continue our study in the book of Matthew. Today we are going to be looking at one particular verse in Matthew 27. Matthew 27 is obviously a really important and involved book that talks about Jesus' crucifixion, his prosecution, his betrayal. There's just a lot of meat in there. And as I read some of the commentaries about Matthew 27, verse 51 stood out to me. And it reads, "At that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth shook and the rocks split." Now, the commentaries on Matthew 27:51, mention they talk about the curtain. So the curtain was huge. It was the height of a 6-story building, half as wide. It was elaborate and thickly woven with what are 72 plates of 24 threads each. So not something easy to cut, let alone tear. So for the curtain to be split in half was very remarkable. And when Matthew specifies that this tearing happened from top to bottom, it's a way of saying this could only have been done by God. Now, the meaning was probably clear to those religious leaders who saw it happen and knew about the tearing of the curtain. If we look at Hebrews, it explains in detail how Jesus' death on the cross made it possible for anyone to come to God through faith in him. So those who came through Jesus can come boldly and without fear right into God's presence. The need for the Jewish sacrificial system that God had given to Israel was done. The perfect and sacrifice for sin, Jesus himself, had been made. In both a spiritual and literal sense, the barrier between men and God was removed by God himself. As I was reading this commentary, I started to think about my own childhood and experience in the church. I wasn't raised in a Christian home, but about, once a month, I would have a sleepover at my friend Darren's house, and his mom would take us to church. Their church was a resurrection church in Aptos, and there was a lot of ceremony, a lot of formality. And as a kid, I remember, again, not being raised in a Christian household, I remember being told a lot of times, "Oh no, you can't come up to do this," or "No, you just stay there." And I really didn't know a lot of what was going on. And I felt there was this barrier between myself and those who were in worship. So this, as I read this, that harkened back to those days, just made me think that that's not the way God intended it to be. There was nothing wrong with the way those church practices. That was just the way it related to me as a young person. So as we go about our week this week, maybe we could think about what are some barriers we are placing between ourselves and a relationship with God, or barriers as a church or individually we are placing between others and a relationship with Jesus. I hope we can pray on that this weekend. We can think about some of those things, how to remove those barriers in our life, in our church, in our relationship with our fellow man. Have a blessed week and a great day. God bless you.